Ayo Johnson is the director of Viewpoint Africa. He joins me from London. First of all, is there any reliable indication of who is actually ahead right now?
Not really, but what we will tell you is that in the rural areas, Mugabe is expected to at least gain a lot of support. That's where his strongest base are, and of course Tsvangirai is more in the urban areas. But from what we've seen this morning, we've seen a lot of people come out very early, even though it was cold. You could see people huddling up with blankets, and clearly people are energized. Zimbabweans are energized to cast their vote.
Given that the opposition vote is split, is this really the turning point that Mugabe could be pushed out of power?
Well, it could be. I mean, Mugabe, for all intents and purposes, most people would say he's done his time. He's been around for too long, 33-odd years. He should hand over. And of course, in Tsvangirai's stance, he's tried once or twice before, haven't been successful. But I think key thing here is the youth vote. A lot of people who were born after independence are in their 30s. Many of them are voting either for the second time or at least the first time. And it's their vote that would count. Many of them don't remember Mugabe's what he had to do for independence, the sacrifice he made. Many of them do not understand the land reforms that he tried to pass and the contradictions that came as a result of that, especially being vilified by the West and the sanctions thereafter. So I think Mr. Tsvangirai will be trying to capitalize on that youthful vote, and I think the youthful vote will be the key that will determine these elections.
Now, one of the big concerns is violence. What is the possibility of violence if the result is contested this time?
Well, we hope we don't get violence, but 2008 was marred with a lot of violence. In fact, Tsvangirai himself took a beating and he stepped down from the second round voting that took place. We are hoping it doesn't happen. I mean, Mr. Mugabe has already stated that the constitution prevents what happened in 2008 from happening this time around, simply because the apparatus that manages the operation for the elections are much more transparent. There's greater accountability, and above all, the state machine, especially to the army and the police and the security forces, have already said that they will support and back whoever wins. The only problem is that from an international observer's perspective, we do not have the international observers on the ground. They've been barred. It's very much about SADC and the African Union, which is what Mugabe is all about, making sure that Africans manage their own affairs. So I think the African Union, if the signals start coming from them and SADC to say that things have progressed fine, they're happy with the way the polling has gone, and then we should hopefully accept whatever results come out of these elections.
How much of a turning point for Zimbabwe would it be? What sort of era would it take the country to if we have someone other than Robert Mugabe as president?
It would be a complete change. Mugabe previously had, with the West, the sanctions, the image issue has been a problem. With Tsvangirai, if he were to win, definitely the West would welcome him. But again, he also has an image issue to change with how people perceive him as a stooge to the West. But I think it will open the doors for investment. It will open the doors for foreign trade in that country, as opposed to Mugabe win, which would very much put everything in the hands of black ownership, which is more of the same in terms of the land reform, more of the same in terms of getting state enterprises to manage their own affairs as opposed to foreign trade and foreign companies. So there's a stark difference, and more so on the gay issue. It's been a very paramount in this campaign, and both sides are on opposite side of that campaign. Mugabe doesn't support it, Tsvangirai does. So there's some crucial issues, and of course, for most Zimbabweans, it's about who's going to create jobs for them.
All right, thanks so much for your thoughts on that.
Thank you.
Let's get the latest from our correspondent, Mohammed Adawi. He joins us live from Zimbabwe's second largest city, Bulawayo. How smoothly are things going there, Mohammed?
Sami, quite smoothly. We've been to around 10 polling stations in the last 1 hour, and in most of them, the arrival of voters have reduced to a trickle, and the long queues that were there in the morning have given way to shorter ones. However, officials are telling us that they are hopeful that in the final hours of voting, before 7 o'clock local time, 7 p.m., they would see more people. They hope to see more people coming to cast their ballots. And the only hitch we've been able to observe since morning is quite a number of people who've been turned away from the polling stations because their names were not on the voter register. One of them, 86-year-old Dulap Anand, told us that his children and himself had registered in one polling station, and despite his children casting their votes, he was turned away. And another man also told us that he had his name in the register, but then he had a wrong identity card number against his name, and he was also turned away.
Tell us, Mohammed, about some of the precautions that may have been put in place to ensure that this is a free and fair vote. Are there monitors there?
Well, yes, there are observers and monitors, but only from different parts of Africa. They are being led by African Union monitors. They are led by